Hey everybody! So today, this comes because I've seen a lot of newer digital porter studio owners, Model 16 owners, on different Facebook pages and they're asking the same question, and it's one of these things that I keep forgetting. If you don't use the system, you don't really know it that much. You don't use it a lot, and it is the file structure of both of these systems. So what I've done is I have I've hooked up I put a SD card in for the Model 16, which is not there anymore. As you can see, you can see the table. It is getting used. We're going to be in it. We're going to try it out as an actual live recording system. That's coming. Haven't done it yet. It's coming. And so it's not there at the moment, but I have the SD card sitting over here. I should really put that in the system so that I have it and I don't forget it. And then I have my DP32s going through the USB system. Now, as I've said, there is no difference from using the USB system on the DP32 or taking the SD card out and sticking it into your computer. Now I always do it this way because you should always turn off your TASCAM, and I do a lot of copying and pasting and updating, and it's just easier for me to just have it here. But once again, like if you happen to have your computer in another room, then you don't have that option. But that's another story. But it is the exact same. So if you click on and you say I want to use my USB for the I have it connected. Is there a difference? No. And it's the same. Yeah, so the DP008, I don't even want to get into that. That's another mess of stuff. So let's look at the screen here. All right, so what you can see is on this side, I don't know if it's your left or it's my left, but it might be your right. It's probably your left. So on the left here, this is the DP32, as you can see. And this is the Model 16. Now, there are two differences. There are two differences right away. The formatting style is different. I'm calling it the formatting style. I'm trying to keep this as easy to understand as possible. The DP32, the highest it can go is 32 gigs. It uses what's called a FAT32 system. It's a file allocation table 32. So it's 32-bit file allocation table. That's what it's using. And it's kind of a weird one because it's using that, but it's still using the older 16-bit version. And I'll get into that a little bit. And the same with, and the Model 16, this is a 64 gig card, and it can go higher than that. It is using the new EX-FAT, which is extended FAT file allocation table. So if you want to get technical with words, and so it can hold more. I'd like to say it's using the new system, but I don't know because I do find that the names have been cut off. But I'm assuming it's probably using a newer version of that allocation system. And the first thing you notice is the difference is you have MTR on the Model 16, music, utilities, and then TASCAM _MSys. So that's how you know it's a model. That's the easiest way to tell. As soon as you stick it in, it can be any size card. As soon as you see TASCAM _M.sys in the root directory, that's a model. That's a model series. That's what that means. That's why on this side it says DP24, because that is a digital porter studio 2432. They have it all under that. You can't read those files. They're compressed, or they're either compressed or they're encoded. Somehow they did something to it, so you can't. They're just gobbledygook when you open it up. Don't play with those files. Don't. Not needed. So now if you've done import export, you know Audio Depot. Put your files in. You export when you do an export using the Audio Depot system. goes to the Audio Depot file directory on the SD card. You copy it, and then you have your files. If you want to import, same thing. You put them in the Audio Depot directory. You import them from the Audio Depot directory onto your car or onto your song. So that's easy. Music, once again, this is all your songs. Now, there's a huge difference. We're going to get into that in a bit, but we're just going to go through this stuff. And then you have utility, and this is where you put your firmware updates. They go in here. I don't know if anything else goes in there. That's pretty much the only thing I've seen that gets put in there. And I think, yeah, this one has utility as well. I'm trying to remember. I did a firmware update on the Model 16, and I can't remember if it was in the utility directory or if it was just in the root. I can't remember anymore. I'm gonna have to look that up. I'm not gonna worry about that in this one. But for this thing, they are both the same. That's where you put your firmware updates. So let's look at the music now. Okay, so that's first. So the Model 16 is different. It has the MTR, which is the meter directory. This is where your recordings go. As you see, I have Bag of Tea there because I did the drums for it. I Have Such a Headache, which is a song that's going to come out in June. And drum mics, that was my drum mic test. So on the DP32, that's all in the music. And the music directory, I think I used that for importing and exporting it because it doesn't have Audio Depot. I think that's where I exported the files to get imported onto the Model 16. And I'm pretty sure that's where I put it. So I think that's the Audio Depot is the music directory on the system. So it's a little confusing there. So we're in the directories. As you can see, I have a lot on here because I'm working on a bunch of ideas. Adios au revoir, which is the Lawrence Welk song. I'm having fun with that. These are some of the half-inch woofer songs. That Sweater is another one I'm working on. Looking at a July release on that one. Premonition, I was using that for a test. I can actually delete that one now. I was just exporting that for somebody. So I'm going to delete that one. I don't need it. So I have a copy. Don't worry. I always keep copies. And that's one of the fun things with SD cards. There we go. Not enough. Another. That's a song you're going to hear about next week. That's a No Wave Charles song. Lord Prepare Me, I did that for church for fun. I Have Such a Headache, that's this one over here, which is I Have Such. That's what I think is what is different about the size of this. The actual amount that you're allowed to punch in for the names is different on the Model 16. It's actually smaller. I don't know why. So, all right, so let's talk about the differences. So I'm going to pop up I Have Such a Headache in the DP32 and the Model 16. So the biggest difference is you'll see there are all these double Z files. If you're American, double Z files. And in the Model 16, they are not. They are actual track numbers. This is one of those things that's always confusing about the DP32, and this is why you don't just go and say, well, I'm gonna copy all these files and put them into a DAW, because you are getting snippets. Like, as you can see, like, these ones are all the same size, so they are, like, the ones that are all the same size are roughly the same, but some could be ones that you disposed of and you decide you didn't want to use, but they're still here. Others can be just little snippets, like these are little snippets, so these might be little punch-ins that I've done. So we don't touch that. That's the whole point of the import-export system on the DP32, DP24, is to handle that. So you say, just give me the files and I will deal with them myself. That's what that's for. That's what you want that for. Now, they've upgraded that on the Model 16, of course, and you can see this is how it works. Now, one thing I've never done on the Model 16 is a final mix down of a song. I'm going to have to try it, and so I can't speak of how that works. but I can talk about how it works on the DP32. I've done it millions of times, and I think a lot of people don't understand exactly how that works, and we're going to talk about that now. So I'm going to go to not enough because I've already done the final versions. And as you can see at the top, so let's do this. Let's go, where am I here? We will go to the DP32 music. I'll go back to I Have Such a Headache just so I can show you the difference. So as you can see, you have the two .sys files here. They're system files. Same thing. They're encrypted. Don't touch them. Don't play with them. Leave them alone. They are there so that the system knows what all this means below it. So see about those. Now we have on the in the not enough one, because I've done a mix down and a mastering. I have two files here. I have the _Z file and then the without it. So it's the name of the song. The one that you want, the one is your final copy, is the one that does not have the _Z. The _Z is the last version that you had. So anything you did prior to that is this one. So in this case, this would be the non-normalized version. This is the normalized version, because that was the last thing I did. Now, the other thing is, I don't think a lot of people know this. They might, but when you're doing, if you click on the mixdown/mastering button and you just do a record of your mixdown, you will get one of these files, and you can copy that, and you can then take that, and then if you want to have somebody else do final mastering on it, give it to them, and then they will go and they will do final mastering on it. If you want, that's what that's for. If you want to, if that's your final version, you don't want to do anything else to it, good. You just close out. You don't have to go and do a final mix down or mastering. You don't have to do that. That's not in here. That's as far as you want to go. Then you just exit out of that whole part of the system, and then you're good. So these are where your files are. There's not much else I can talk about here. I've talked about with the exporting, if you have longer names, it will do the old DOS operating system where it will crunch it down. You get the squiggle and a number, because DOS doesn't, or the system doesn't register the file the same way as you do, which is why I always tell people, if you're taking from, let's go back here, if you're taking these files and you're putting them onto your DP32, to just cut out all the middle information and just have the track numbers, so then you can just go and say, okay, take it over. So that's today's video. Once again, like and subscribe. Love you guys. We're doing great, and I will talk to you later. Bye.